Today we're diving into a corner of horror that is both creepy and fascinating at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the rise of indie films that are based on public domain characters.
Wow.
And our primary source for today is this comicbookmovie.com article about the upcoming film I Heart Willie.
Okay, cool.
And now this isn't just about some low-budget slasher flick, right? This is
Right.
a peek into how filmmakers are breathing new life, or should I say death,
Ooh,
into these iconic characters,
interesting.
thanks to the quirks of copyright law.
Yeah, it's a really interesting phenomenon, like we saw recently with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Right.
And now it seems like every childhood favorite is
Oh, for sure.
fair game for
Yeah.
a horror movie, but why now?
Right.
It all boils down to the public domain.
Okay.
When a copyright expires, these characters essentially become free real estate for creative minds.
Okay, so back to this I Heart Willie. So this article lays out the plot.
Okay.
And it says there's a group of YouTubers investigating a haunted property.
Oh, spooky, yeah.
And they encounter this deformed figure resembling, well,
I know where this is going.
a certain mouse, right? Classic slasher setup, right?
Yeah.
But this Willie character, he has a backstory tied directly to the original Steamboat Willie cartoon.
That's what makes it so compelling, you know? It's not just about cheap scares, right?
Right.
I Heart Willie and films like it, they tap into our shared nostalgia for these characters and then just twist it in unsettling ways.
For sure, for sure.
Just imagine, like, the unsettling feeling of seeing your childhood memories turned into something
Oh, I know.
dark and disturbing.
Right. It's like they're weaponizing our childhoods.
Totally.
This article describes Willie as this tragic figure, right?
Yeah.
He's abused and isolated as a child, and now he's out seeking revenge.
Oh, wow.
And the producer, what's his name, Princeton Holt, he calls it an unforgettable experience even, and promises scares, thrills, and a great time for everyone.
Sounds like a good time.
He's definitely aiming for cult classic status.
That language is so deliberate, of course. I mean, he's hyping up the film, appealing to horror fans.
Yeah.
Who love that mix of
They want that familiar, yeah.
the familiar and the frightening.
Exactly.
And the release strategy is so clever, too.
Oh, tell me.
One night only theatrical release on February 26, 2025.
Oh, really?
That creates a sense of urgency,
Oh, yeah, I bet.
almost like a limited edition item,
I love that.
you know?
And then there's that cryptic line about the end credits. It says, don't leave too early or you might miss something.
Ooh, mysterious.
Okay, now I'm officially intrigued. Like, what is it, a post-credit scene? Is it a hidden message?
Oh, I know.
They're playing the mystery card?
Absolutely. It's all about generating buzz and getting people talking.
For sure, yeah.
And speaking of getting people talking, I Heart Willie brings up another interesting aspect.
Okay.
The film was shot entirely in Michoacan, Mexico,
Wow.
with a local cast and crew.
Really?
It actually premiered at the Morbido Film Fest in Mexico City.
Wow.
And it even got an encore screening
Oh, wow.
due to popular demand.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's not just writing the coattails of public domain characters.
Oh, no.
It seems like there's genuine buzz around the film itself.
Yeah.
This article even mentions awards. They won Best Actress, Best Actor, and Best Director at various film festivals. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And it highlights this exciting trend of Mexican filmmaking gaining international recognition.
Okay.
I Heart Willie seems to be part of a larger movement of diverse voices in the horror genre.
Yeah, which is great to see.
Fantastic to see.
Yeah. So we've got this intriguing mix of public domain horror, a unique marketing strategy, and a connection to this burgeoning Mexican film scene.
Yeah.
So before we go any further, what's standing out to you so far?
Okay.
What grabs your attention about this whole phenomenon?
Well, what strikes me is how I Heart Willie and this whole trend really tap into something deeper than just surface level horror.
Yeah.
You know, there's this cultural fascination with seeing the familiar
Totally.
become twisted,
Yeah.
you know, like the innocent turned sinister.
Uh-huh.
It really makes you question those boundaries.
Yeah, it's true. Like, where is the line? Is it homage or is it exploitation?
Right.
Or are these filmmakers, like, just cashing in on nostalgia? Or is there, like, a more artistic statement beneath the blood and guts? Do you think there's a line when it comes to these public domain characters?
It's a complex question, and I don't think there's an easy answer.
Right.
You know, some some might find it offensive, even disrespectful, to reimagine these beloved characters in such a dark way.
Sure.
But others see it as creative expression, a way to challenge our assumptions and explore the darker side of storytelling.
It's like holding a funhouse mirror up to our childhoods.
Right.
And it's not limited to Disney characters, right? We're seeing public domain adaptations everywhere.
Yeah.
Classic literature, old films. It's almost like nothing is sacred anymore.
Exactly. There's this sense of reclaiming these stories. You know, a new generation of creators putting their own spin on them.
Yeah.
It keeps those narratives alive, even if they're presented in ways that might shock or offend some.
Right.
And on a practical level, public domain works are free to use.
Oh, yeah.
So that opens up a lot of opportunities
for sure
for indie filmmakers.
Makes sense.
Who might not have the resources to get the rights to newer properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It really levels the playing field, and it allows for more diverse stories to be told. I Heart Willie, made by a passionate team in Mexico, is a great example. It proves that a good story can transcend budget or origin, even if it's coming from a place we might not typically associate with horror filmmaking.
It's interesting, though, to consider the Mexican horror tradition specifically.
Yeah.
It's got its own rich history, often blending folklore, social commentary, and a visceral style.
Right.
That's distinct from, say, American slasher films.
Gotcha.
I Heart Willie, while tapping into those familiar horror tropes, might also be drawing on these deeper traditions.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's not just a case of Mexican filmmakers copying Hollywood. They're bringing their own unique perspective to the genre.
Absolutely.
Like, we started with this seemingly straightforward horror movie.
Right.
And we're now talking about cultural commentary, globalization, and the evolution of an entire genre.
It's a reminder that even something as seemingly simple as a horror movie can spark these broader conversations. We're talking about copyright, creative freedom, cultural exchange, and the very nature of what scares us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about Willie himself.
Right.
This whole backstory, his deformed appearance.
Yeah.
It's disturbing, but also kind of tragic.
Right. It's like they're asking, what creates a monster?
Yeah.
Is it inherent, or is it the result of trauma and societal pressures?
There's a psychological element there that goes beyond the typical slasher villain.
Right.
You know, like, it makes you think about how we treat those who are different and how those experiences can shape someone's path.
And to bring it back to the public domain aspect, there's something interesting happening here, you know?
Okay.
By choosing Willie as their subject, the filmmakers are tapping into one of the most recognizable and beloved characters in history.
For sure.
It forces us to confront the darker side of a figure we associate with innocence and joy.
Yeah, that's powerful.
You know?
It's like they're saying darkness can exist anywhere, even in the most unexpected places.
Exactly. And that's a really unsettling thought, isn't it?
Definitely unsettling.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the big ideas behind I Heart Willie, but I'm dying to get into the spooky specifics.
Okay.
What kind of scares are we in for? The article hints at this classic slasher vibe.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got that isolated location, the group of unsuspecting victims, and a terrifying figure lurking in the shadow. The article even mentions the YouTubers.
Yeah, okay.
They set up cameras all over the property, hoping to capture evidence of the paranormal.
Wow.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
Jeez.
They're basically documenting their own demise.
That's a clever touch.
Yeah.
It plays into our modern obsession with true crime and found footage horror.
Right.
Like, we're so used to consuming horror through screens.
Yeah.
It makes the threat feel even closer.
Exactly. And remember, Willie himself is a product of the screen.
Right.
A twisted reflection of that innocent cartoon mouse.
Totally.
The filmmakers seem to be playing with that idea.
Yeah.
Blurring the lines between reality and fiction.
Oh, that's so creepy. And speaking of creepy, what about Willie's look?
Okay.
We know he's supposed to resemble the original Steamboat Willie.
Right.
But how far do they take it?
But the article describes him as this deformed figure.
Okay.
Emphasizing the contrast with the cartoon's simple, rounded features. So they're clearly going for a grotesque, unsettling look.
Yeah.
Something that'll stick in your nightmares.
Right. They want to take something we associate with childhood joy and make it repulsive. There's something really subversive about that.
Yeah.
And don't forget that detail about the bodysuit.
Oh, you mean the one he crafts from the skins of his victims?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something you forget easily.
No.
It's brutal, visceral.
Oh, for sure.
It speaks to a level of obsession that goes beyond your typical slasher villain.
Right. It
Yeah.
adds this layer of psychological horror, too.
Yes.
It's not just about the physical violence.
Yeah.
It's about violation and control. It makes Willie seem even more menacing, like he's trying to erase the identities of his victims.
It's a really, really disturbing detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that ties back to the themes we were discussing earlier
Huh.
about how trauma can shape someone into a monster.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what happened to Willie to make him this way?
Right.
What kind of abuse and isolation would drive someone to such extremes?
It's a good question.
Okay, so we're talking about a lot of disturbing stuff here.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm kind of excited to see how it all comes together on screen.
For sure.
The suspense, the gore, the psychological torment.
Yeah.
It sounds like a wild ride.
Well, remember what the producer said. Don't leave too early or you might miss something.
I know, right?
There's definitely more to this film than meets the eye.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that end credits tease.
Uh-huh.
Could there be a sequel setup? A final twist?
Ooh, maybe a hint at another public domain character getting the horror treatment?
Right.
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about this whole trend.
Yeah.
It's unpredictable.
For sure.
It's challenging, and
Yeah.
it forces us to re-examine our relationship with these familiar figures.
Absolutely. So, to wrap things up, I Heart Willie sounds like this fascinating blend of slasher tropes, psychological horror, and social commentary all wrapped up in a package that plays with our nostalgia and our expectations.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
And it's a testament to the power of these public domain works to inspire new and unexpected stories.
It's a good point.
And it's a reminder that horror, at its best, can be more than just cheap thrills.
Uh-huh.
It can make us think, question our assumptions, and confront the darker aspects of ourselves and our culture.
Very well said.
So keep an eye out for I Heart Willie, hitting theaters for one night only on February 26, 2025.
Okay.
And in the meantime, keep those imaginations running wild.